Best friend and I both got pregnant by accident at the exact same time. She was carrying her movie star ex-boyfriend's baby, while I was pregnant with a high society billionaire tycoon's child. Since neither of those men seemed to want the kids, my best friend had a brilliant idea. How about we keep the babies and ditch the dads? Yo, I said. Wherever you go, I go. So we packed our bags, fled the country with our baby bumps, and kicked off our dream life living together. Until 3 years later when my best friend's toddler went viral. Because he looked like a carbon copy of the famous actor. Camera accidentally caught my daughter and me in the background too. That very night, a squad of men in black suits completely surrounded my lounge. I pulled out my phone to dial emergency services. But before I could touch the screen, someone secured my wrist behind my back with a leather belt. A powerful hand held me firmly around the waist, pulling me close as a ruthless voice rasped into my ear. Go on, call them. Guess how badly you'll regret it. Before the cops even show up. Fresh off a messy breakup. My best friend, Piper, dragged me to a high-end lounge to drown her sorrows. She was just about to run her fingers over a boy toy sculpted ABS, when a towering figure materialized at the entrance. It was Harrison, the silver screen heartthrob tucking his cap low. Harrison stormed over, his face dark as thunder. He glared at the young model, who bore a striking resemblance to himself. Who the hell is he, Piper? You using some cheap knockoff as my substitute? Piper glanced up, a cold, mocking smirk playing on her lips as she stood up. Why not? You replaced me with Serena. What? What makes you think I can't find someone to replace you? Besides your family's precious heirloom bracelet, is sitting on another woman's wrist right now? Harrison choked on his own breath, his face turning pale. I told you I didn't give her that bracelet. Great, Piper shot back her. Your voice sharp as glass. Then go get it back. Silence stretched between them like a suffocating blanket, cutting through the thumping bass of the club. Harrison stood frozen for a long moment, before letting out a defeated sigh. I'm sorry. I can't do that. Even though she had seen it coming. The mask on Piper's face fractured, her eyes rimmed with red. She grabbed her bag and gave me a quick nod. Then she turned on her high heels and strode out of the lounge, without looking back. Harrison gave me a tight nod before rushing after her, knowing how easily he usually talked her around. Panic surged through me. I yelled after her. Piper, don't you dare go soft on him. This is a deal breaker. Dump him for good this time. I screamed until my throat was bone dry. Suddenly, a hand with long, elegant fingers reached out from behind, holding a slice of chilled watermelon. I stared at the hand, my mind wondering. And these young models really knew how to pamper a girl? I turned around with a bright smile. Hey, handsome. What is your name? The words died in my throat. My smile froze and I turned entirely to stone. The handsome model sitting beside me had vanished. In his place stood Fred Pierce. He had razor-sharp facial features, sculpted jawline, and a gaze so cold it felt like ice running down my spine. Terrified, I took a step back. But his firm grip caught my wrist. Instantly, Fred looked down at me, a dangerous mocking smile curling his lips. You like younger guys? Fine. Let's go home. I've got plenty to show you. That night, Fred kept me trapped against the floor-to-ceiling window until dawn. Outside, the city glittered beneath us. A world of wealth I could never have entered without him. But I wasn't his girlfriend. At best, I was a caged songbird. During my first year trying to break into the entertainment industry, a shady director once tried to take advantage of me. When my polite refusals failed to stop him, Fred stepped in. One quiet word from him was enough to crush the man and pull me out of trouble. Fred was an untouchable billionaire tycoon. I was nobody trying to survive at the bottom of the industry. His pursuit had never been flashy. He simply cleared every obstacle in my path. And with a face that could outshine any Hollywood star, it was impossible not to fall for him. Still, I knew where I stood. A gilded bird was never a real girlfriend. Sooner or later, I would have to leave. Distracted again, Fred's voice pulled me back. His eyes darkened with possessiveness as he asked. Still thinking about those younger guys? I shook my head quickly, but he clearly wasn't satisfied. Much later, after everything finally settled, Fred carried me to the master bathtub and held me in his arms. As my thoughts cleared, I asked. I heard your older sister, Victoria, is back in the country. Yeah. Fred had been close to Victoria since childhood, and she held considerable influence in the Pierce family. More importantly, rumors said Victoria hadn't returned alone. She had brought the woman chosen for an arranged marriage with the Pierce family. My chest tightened as I cautiously asked. When I meet her? Fred opened his eyes and studied me. His voice remained cold and distant. There is no need. Just as I thought. A secret lover like me wasn't worthy of meeting his family. I hid my disappointment and forced a smile. Okay. That afternoon, Piper, who had promised to call me, remained silent. It wasn't until noon the next day that her message finally appeared. Don't worry, we didn't get back together. I thought life would just drag on like this until a month later. And both Piper and I realized our periods were late. We went to the clinic together. The moment the ultrasound results came out, we stared at the words pregnancy confirmed on the paper, dropping into an absolute silence. Piper snatched my report, looking at me with pure frustration. I agreed. You just grab some industry resources and break it off. How could you not use protection? I did use it, I argued defensively. Then remembering how chaotic that night by the window had been, my voice dropped to a whisper. It might have broken. Piper rolled her eyes, completely speechless. Now it was my turn to grab her report. I raised my voice. You're scolding me. What about you? You don't even have a boyfriend. Who is the father here? Piper's eyelashes fluttered nervously. She avoided my eyes, muttering under her breath, Harrison's. Whose? I scowled, doubting my own ears. She squeezed her eyes shut, took a deep breath and shouted right into my ear. My ex, Harry, son. My ears buzzed from the noise. I rubbed my ears and grumbled, fine. Harrison, it is. Why are you screaming? Piper was already broke up with him. And Harrison had his untouchable childhood crush, Serena. As for me, I was just a hidden mistress kept in the shadows. And Fred's high society fiancé had just arrived in town. We exchanged a look and let out a synchronized sigh. Neither of those men would ever welcome these babies. After a long pause, Piper grabbed my hand. Hesitation in her eyes. What if we keep the kids and trash the dads? I thought about it for a second. Deal. Fred has been pretty generous over the years. Plus, with the money I saved from acting, we can easily buy a nice villa abroad. We'll get a dog, a cat. 2 moms and 2 babies in one big house. Isn't that the ultimate retirement dream for 2 best friends? We moved fast, even though Harrison kept bothering Piper. They were already broken up and living apart. So she could pack up and leave whenever she wanted. My situation was trickier. I kept looking for the right moment to end things with Fred. But the opportunity never came. Until one night Fred came home. Completely wasted. The moment the front door swung open, the smile froze on my face. Fred was leaning heavily on a stunning woman. I recognized her instantly. From the news photos taken when Victoria returned. She was Fred's arranged fiancée by Samantha. Hi there. You must be Sienna, right? Fred had a bit too much to drink. So I brought him back. She gave me a warm, gentle smile. Unlike what I'd imagined. Samantha seemed to know everything about my relationship with Fred. I forced a polite smile and helped Fred onto the couch. Samantha didn't leave immediately. She looked around the spacious living room and asked softly. Could I trouble you for a glass of water? I walked to the kitchen island without a word. Behind me, she said casually. I heard you've been taking good care of Fred while I was away. Thank you. I've watched your movies. By the way, it's not easy for a woman to make it in the industry without backing. Korea and I actually admire you. She mentioned. Wanting to invite you to the Pierce family dinner sometime soon. Did Fred tell you? My hand froze around the picture. I turned and met Samantha's gaze. There was no mockery toward my hidden status. Nor any arrogance about her wealthy background. Only the quiet confidence of the future mistress of the house. It was a kind of security I could never have. No matter how long I stayed by Fred's side. And at instant, the weight I'd carried in my heart finally crashed down. I knew it was time to leave. That night, after Fred fell into a deep sleep, I packed my belongings. I'd expected this day to come. So I hadn't kept much at his place. I left behind all the expensive gifts Fred had given me. Taking only a handwoven red wristband. I'd gotten a pair from a quiet chapel in Florence years ago. A prayer for safety and peace. I'd spent so much time wondering how to say a proper goodbye. But maybe a face-to-face farewell wasn't necessary. On the gray silk sheets. Its sharp features were as striking as the day I first met him. He always thought he was the one who pursued me. He never knew I'd fallen for him. At first sight, too. A wave of bitterness and sorrow washed over me. I pulled out my phone and sent him one final message. I'm leaving. Our paths diverge here. May we never meet again. Before stepping out the door, I blocked his number. Goodbye, Fred. I hope we both find peace in the lives ahead. This was our 3rd year living in Australia. By then, Piper and I had both given birth to healthy babies. She had a boy named Toby, while I had a girl named Penny. When the kids turned 3, Piper started posting mommy vlogs online. All always keeping her own face off camera. I opened a cozy lounge near the beach. Life was sweet and peaceful. We had plenty of money and freedom. And my lounge even had a few handsome young bartenders. Everything was perfect until one day. A comment suddenly blew up under Piper's latest video. Is it just me? Or does little Toby look insanely like the movie star Harrison? Harrison had posted childhood photos on social media years ago. Curious netizens quickly dug them up for comparison. The resemblance wasn't big. He looked practically identical to him. He went viral overnight. Countless users began tagging Harrison's official account. While others asked Piper, who is the baby daddy? Piper couldn't resist replying sarcastically. No, Dad. Asexual reproduction. When people started accusing her of hiding a bastard child, she fired back, if you guys knew who his father was, you'd realize I'm the one who got cursed here. The very next second, a verified account named Harrison commented beneath her post. Are you sure about that? Piper username and avatar were both Harrison's. More importantly, he had called her by her real name. There was no way this was just a coincidence or a superfan. Terrified, Piper deleted all her replies and locked her account. So only friends could comment. That night, she rushed to my lounge in a panic. Terrified Harrison would find her and take Toby away. I tried to calm her down. Australia was huge, and even if Harrison had seen the videos, there was no way he could pinpoint our address from a few short clips. But she was still terrified. So I promised to take her and the kids out for a day trip. The next morning. The next day. While we were walking the kids near a popular scenic spot, a street interviewer suddenly blocked our path. Given Toby's sudden internet fame, we instantly declined to the interview and tried to leave with the kids. But we couldn't stop the video from being uploaded online. Later in the clip, Toby's face was crystal clear. And the camera caught both Penny and me in the frame as well. The internet went wild instantly. Holy crap. From a passerby's angle, the kid looks even more like Harrison. Is this Harrison's secret kid? Honestly, nothing surprises me with celebrity scandals anymore. Wait, the little girl in the frame is gorgeous, too. Did her mom used to act? It looks so familiar. Seeing the online storm spiraling out of control, I sat down with Piper to brainstorm. Maybe we should move to a different city. Business at the lounge has been slow anyway. I've been thinking of selling it. Piper nodded repeatedly. Sounds good. Wherever you go, I go. Piper deleted her account entirely. While I posted a notice to sell the lounge. That very afternoon, someone reached out. Wanting to buy the place and asked to meet me that evening. I waited at the lounge past closing time. But the buyer never showed up. An eerie gut feeling crept up my spine as the night grew quiet. Suddenly, a heavy thud echoed from the entrance. The next second, the heavy wooden doors were kicked open with a deafening bang. Dozens of muscular guards in black suits rushed inside, completely surrounding the lounge. Cold chill shot up from the soles of my feet, almost paralyzing me. I forced my voice to stay firm. Who are you looking for? Silence. Nobody answered. My nerve snapped. I turned and bolted out through the back door. The moment I swung the back door open, I slammed right into a solid towering chest. A familiar cool scent of cedarwood enveloped my senses. Stumbling back a few steps, I frantically pulled out my phone to dial emergency services. Before the call could connect, a sharp pain shot through my wrist. My phone crashed onto the pavement. It screamed, flickering faintly in the dark. My arms were pulled behind my back and secured with a heavy leather belt. A powerful hand held me at the waist, drawing me backward into a hard, warm chest. A deep, familiar voice drifted into my ear, sending shivers down my spine. Sienna had a good few years. It was a casual greeting, but I could hear the deadly chill lurking underneath. My spine turned to ice. I squeezed my eyes shut, forcing my breathing to steady. Fred. We broke up. This is Australia. Don't do anything stupid. Broke up. Dark, icy chuckle rasped against my ear. Did I ever agree to that? And so what if I do something stupid? Even after years apart, I still remembered how ruthless Fred could be. I closed my eyes, making one last desperate attempt to fight back. I already called the cops right on cue. The phone on the ground connected, and the dispatcher's voice echoed faintly through the speaker. Fred leaned down, picked up the phone and held it right against my ear. A low, arrogant laugh vibrated in his chest. Go on. Give him the address, sweetheart. Guess how frightened you'll be before the cops even show up. Go on. Give him the address, sweetheart. Fred's voice was almost amused. Guess how frightened you'll be before the cops even show up. My heart hammered against my ribs. The dispatcher was still speaking through the phone. Ma'am? Can you hear me? Are you in danger? I opened my mouth. Fred tightened his arm around my waist. I immediately understood the message. One wrong word, and this situation could become much worse. I swallowed and forced myself to speak calmly. I'm fine. It was a misunderstanding. The dispatcher hesitated. Are you certain? Yes. Fred ended the call. I glared at him. What do you want? For 3 years, I wanted one answer. His voice had lost its teasing edge. Where did you go? I laughed bitterly. You already know. No. Fred turned me around. The moment our eyes met, I almost forgot how to breathe. He looked older than I remembered. More exhausted, too. But those sharp eyes were exactly the same. You left a message saying our paths diverged, he said. Then you blocked me. I searched for you everywhere. I didn't ask you to. You disappeared without giving me a chance to speak. You had plenty of chances. His jaw tightened. I came home drunk that night because Victoria told me Samantha was arriving. I stared at him. What? Samantha wasn't my fiancée. My expression froze. Fred watched me carefully. She was the woman Victoria had chosen for someone else in the family. Victoria deliberately let you believe she was mine. I remembered that night. Samantha's calm smile. Her mention of the Pierce family dinner. The confidence in her voice. You're lying. Then why did she tell you I was drunk? I couldn't answer. Fred took a step closer. And why did she tell you she had watched your movies? My fingers curled. He continued. Because Victoria wanted you gone. My heart sank. Why? Fred's eyes darkened. Because she knew I was serious about you. I stared at him. For 3 years, I'd imagined Fred had simply let me go. Maybe he hadn't. But that didn't erase everything. You still didn't come after me. I did. He pulled out his phone and showed me dozens of old messages. Messages I'd never received. Calls from unknown numbers. Emails. Even photographs of places he'd searched. My stomach twisted. Someone had blocked him from reaching me. Before I could process it, Fred asked quietly. Why did you leave while you were pregnant? My entire body went rigid. His eyes immediately caught the change in my expression. You're hiding something. No. Sienna. I said no. He looked at me for several seconds. Then his gaze dropped toward my handbag. My phone was still inside. Fred reached for it. I slapped his hand away. Don't. That single reaction told him everything. His expression changed. What are you afraid I'll find? Nothing. He gave a humorless laugh. You've always been terrible at lying to me. I stepped backward. You don't get to interrogate me after 3 years. Then answer one question. His voice became quieter. Is the little girl yours? My heart stopped. Fred had seen the video. Of course he had. And who is her father? I didn't answer. His face slowly changed. 3 years of anger, confusion, and disbelief seemed to collide in his eyes. Then he whispered. It's me. I looked away. That was all the confirmation he needed. Fred went completely still. You were pregnant when you left. I closed my eyes. Yes. With my child? Yes. The word barely escaped my lips. Fred took a step backward as though I'd physically struck him. You knew? I found out the same day Piper did. And you never told me. You had Samantha. She wasn't mine. You expect me to believe that now? Yes. His answer came instantly. I laughed bitterly. You don't get it, Fred. I wasn't going to raise my daughter in some wealthy family's war over an heir. His expression hardened. Her name? Penny. He repeated it quietly. Penny. Something softened in his face. Then the lounge doors opened. Piper came running outside with Toby clinging to her hand. Sienna. She stopped when she saw Fred. Her face went pale. Oh, hell. Harrison appeared behind her. He had clearly followed them. The moment he saw Toby, his entire expression changed. Toby looked up at him curiously. Harrison stared at the child. Then at Piper. You. Piper immediately stepped in front of Toby. Stay away from my son. Harrison's face tightened. My son? Piper's eyes flashed. You heard me. Harrison looked like he'd forgotten how to breathe. Then Toby peeked around Piper's leg. Mommy, who is that? Harrison crouched down slowly. His eyes were already red. What's your name? Toby. Harrison smiled despite himself. I'm Harrison. Toby tilted his head. You look like me. Piper covered her face. I almost laughed despite the chaos. Harrison. Looked at her. You knew. Yes. You knew for 3 years? You broke up with me. I didn't know you were pregnant. You made it pretty clear you didn't want anything to do with me. Harrison's expression collapsed. I never said I didn't want my child. Piper stared at him. Maybe you should have been clearer. For once, Harrison had no answer. Fred, however, wasn't looking at them. He was staring at Penny. Penny had wandered out of the lounge holding her stuffed rabbit. She looked up at Fred. Their eyes met. The little girl smiled shyly. Are you Daddy? Everything stopped. I felt my soul leave my body. Fred slowly turned toward me. You told her about me? I didn't. Penny hugged her rabbit. Mommy said Daddy was far away. Fred's eyes immediately returned to her. He crouched down. Does Daddy have a name? Penny nodded. Daddy Fred. My face burned. Fred looked at me. I could practically see the question forming in his eyes. I shook my head. I never taught her that. Penny happily pointed at Fred. He's on Mommy's old pictures. Fred froze. I wanted the ground to swallow me. Piper looked at me. You kept his pictures? I forgot they were there. Fred slowly smiled. It was the first genuine smile I'd seen from him since he'd found me. Then he looked at Penny again. Can I hug you? Penny considered him carefully. Then she held out her arms. Fred picked her up. The ruthless billionaire who had terrified an entire lounge only minutes earlier suddenly looked completely lost with a 3-year-old girl in his arms. Penny touched his face. You're tall. Fred laughed softly. So I've been told. She studied him for another second. You look like Mommy's pictures. His smile disappeared. He looked at me. I want the truth. I crossed my arms. You have it. No. His gaze moved to Penny. I want everything. Before I could answer, a black car pulled up outside. A woman stepped out. Victoria Pierce. She looked directly at me. Then at Penny. Her expression changed. She already knew. And judging from the way Fred's face hardened when he saw her, he knew exactly who had sent her. Victoria walked toward us. Sienna. Fred stood, holding Penny securely against his chest. His voice was ice cold. Victoria. She smiled faintly. We need to talk about the child. Fred's arm tightened around Penny. No. Victoria's smile vanished. This concerns the Pierce family. Fred looked down at Penny. Then back at his sister. She isn't the Pierce family's property. His voice carried across the entire entrance. She is my daughter. And this time, Fred wasn't asking anyone for permission. Victoria's expression hardened. Fred, don't make a scene. Fred gave a short laugh. You sent someone to Australia to find her. You surrounded her business with armed guards. And now you're standing here telling me not to make a scene? Victoria's eyes flicked toward Penny. She belongs with her father. She belongs with her mother. Fred's answer was immediate. And if Sienna agrees, she belongs with both of us. I stared at him. That wasn't what I'd expected. Victoria folded her arms. You don't understand what you're doing. No, Fred said. For 3 years, I didn't understand what you were doing. Her expression shifted. Fred stepped closer. You told me Sienna left because she was tired of being my mistress. I looked at him. You told me she wanted nothing to do with the Pierce family. My chest tightened. Victoria's face remained composed. Fred continued. You told me she had gone overseas to start over. He laughed without humor. And every time I asked where she was, you said you didn't know. Victoria's eyes narrowed. Because she didn't want to be found. Then why did you have someone watching her? Silence. Piper's mouth fell open. I stared at Victoria. You were watching us? Victoria didn't answer. That was enough. Fred's expression became frighteningly calm. You knew where she was. I knew she was safe. You knew she was pregnant. Victoria finally looked directly at him. Yes. My stomach dropped. Fred's jaw clenched. You knew? I found out shortly after she left. And you kept it from me. Victoria sighed. I was protecting you. From my own daughter? From a woman who was never going to fit into this family. I stepped forward. I never wanted your family. Victoria looked at me. You say that now. I left everything behind. You left Fred. I left because I thought he had chosen someone else. Fred looked at Victoria. And you made sure she believed it. Victoria didn't deny it. Piper suddenly laughed. It was the kind of laugh that came from pure disbelief. So this whole time, we crossed an entire ocean because of your little family manipulation? Victoria glanced at her. You were not involved. Oh, I absolutely am. Piper moved beside me. You helped ruin 3 years of my life too. Victoria frowned. Harrison's situation is separate. Harrison immediately spoke. No, it isn't. Everyone turned toward him. He was still staring at Toby. I was told Piper wanted nothing to do with me. Piper's eyes widened. Who told you that? Harrison looked at Victoria. Her silence answered for her. Piper's face turned red. You've got to be kidding me. Harrison's expression darkened. You told me she left because she hated me. I was trying to protect you. From what? A scandal. Harrison stared at her. She's the mother of my son. And you were the face of an international movie franchise. Your reputation mattered. Piper scoffed. So I was disposable. No. Yes. She pointed toward Toby. You let me raise your child alone because you thought protecting your reputation mattered more. Harrison looked devastated. Then he slowly shook his head. I would have chosen you. Piper's eyes flickered. You didn't. I didn't know. You should have asked. That shut him up. Meanwhile, Fred was still holding Penny. She had rested her head against his shoulder and was playing with the collar of his shirt. He looked down at her. 3 years of missed birthdays. First steps. First words. Every little moment he'd never witnessed. His eyes became wet. He quickly looked away. I pretended not to notice. Victoria spoke again. Fred, you can't let emotion dictate this. He looked at her. You're right. He handed Penny back to me. Then he turned toward Victoria. I'm going to let evidence dictate it. Victoria's face changed. Fred pulled out his phone. I've already contacted my lawyers. My eyes widened. You did what? They're flying here tomorrow. Fred. I've also ordered a full investigation into every person involved in keeping you away from me. Victoria's voice sharpened. You wouldn't investigate your own family. Watch me. He walked toward her. If I find out you deliberately interfered with my relationship, hid my child, or threatened Sienna in any way, you're finished. Victoria stared at him. You'd destroy your own sister? Fred didn't blink. You destroyed 3 years of my daughter's life. That landed hard. Victoria's face went pale. Then she looked at Penny again. Her expression softened. Sienna, think carefully. Raising a child in the Pierce family isn't simple. I hugged Penny closer. I've raised her for 3 years without you. Victoria smiled thinly. You'll need more than love. I smiled back. I have money. Her eyebrows lifted. I continued. And a successful business. Piper snorted. And me. Harrison stepped beside her. And me. Piper immediately looked at him. Don't get too comfortable. I won't. He smiled. I'll earn it. For the first time, Piper didn't argue. Fred looked at me. And you have me. I stared at him. That part isn't decided. His lips curved slightly. I know. He reached into his pocket and pulled out a small velvet box. My heart stopped. He opened it. Inside was the red wristband I'd left behind years ago. My fingers went numb. How? You took one. He looked at my wrist. I kept the other. I touched the bracelet I was wearing. The matching pair. Fred's eyes softened. You said they were supposed to bring safety and peace. I swallowed. I remember. I kept mine for 3 years. He closed the box. I don't expect you to forgive me tonight. Good. Because I wasn't ready. But I'm not disappearing again. He turned toward Victoria. And neither is my daughter. Victoria stared at him for a long moment. Then she smiled. It wasn't warm. It was the smile of someone who had just realized the game had changed. Then you'd better prepare yourself, Fred. She turned toward the waiting car. Because the Pierce family isn't the only family that knows about Penny. My blood ran cold. What does that mean? Victoria didn't answer. She simply got into the car. Fred's expression darkened. I looked at Piper. She looked just as confused. Then my phone buzzed. Unknown number. One message. You really thought you could hide the child forever? I stared at the screen. Another message appeared. Your daughter isn't the only secret you brought to Australia. I looked at Fred. His eyes were already on me. What happened? I slowly turned the phone around. His expression changed the moment he read the messages. And for the first time since finding us, Fred looked genuinely afraid. Fred took the phone from my hand. Who sent this? I don't know. He stared at the number, then immediately called his lawyer. Trace it. Piper stepped closer. What secret could they possibly be talking about? I shook my head. I have no idea. But deep down, something about the message bothered me. I had left my old life behind. Fred. The Pierce family. My career. Everything. There was only one thing I'd never told anyone. Before Penny was born, I'd received an anonymous letter. If you disappear, they won't just come after you. They'll come after the child. I'd assumed it was Victoria. Maybe I'd been wrong. The next morning, Fred's lawyers arrived. They had already traced the number. It belonged to a private investigator hired by Victoria 3 years ago. Fred looked furious. So she was behind everything. His lawyer shook his head. Not entirely. He placed a file on the table. Victoria hired him to monitor Sienna. But someone else paid him to continue watching her after she left the country. Fred opened the file. His expression changed. Who? The lawyer slid over a photograph. A man stood outside my old apartment 3 years earlier. I recognized him immediately. My stomach dropped. That man worked for Serena. Piper cursed. Harrison looked at the photograph. Serena? I nodded. Harrison's face darkened. She knew? She knew about Fred and Sienna, Piper said. But why would she care about Penny? The lawyer turned another page. Because Serena believed Fred would eventually marry her. Fred's expression became disgusted. I never promised her that. No, I said quietly. You didn't. Fred looked at me. I loved you. My chest tightened. He stepped closer. I should have told you sooner. I should have fought harder. But I never stopped looking for you. I looked away. I can't erase 3 years. I know. You missed Penny's first steps. I know. Her first birthday. I know. Everything. His eyes reddened. I know. Penny suddenly ran into the room. Daddy. Fred froze. Penny threw herself into his arms. He caught her immediately. She had started calling him Daddy that morning. He looked completely overwhelmed. I watched them quietly. Maybe some things couldn't be repaired overnight. But perhaps they could be rebuilt. A week later, the truth exploded online. Victoria's manipulation was exposed. The private investigator confessed everything. Serena's involvement became public too. Harrison publicly acknowledged Toby as his son and refused to let his agency hide him. Piper wasn't impressed. She made him work for her trust. He showed up anyway. Every day. Flowers. Breakfast. Toys for Toby. Even when Piper told him to leave, he came back the next morning. Eventually, she stopped telling him to go. As for Fred, he didn't try to buy my forgiveness. He simply stayed. He helped with Penny. He learned her favorite cartoons. He took her to the beach. He sat beside me at the lounge while I worked. Sometimes we'd talk. Sometimes we wouldn't. One evening, Penny fell asleep between us on the couch. Fred looked at her. Then at me. Come home. I smiled faintly. I have a home. I know. He reached for my hand. Then let me be part of it. I looked at him. You're still arrogant. I've been told. And controlling. Working on it. And you still owe me 3 years. His expression softened. I'll spend the rest of my life paying it back. I laughed. That sounds exhausting. I can handle it. I squeezed his hand. Fine. His eyes widened. Fine? Don't make me change my mind. He immediately smiled. I won't. Across the room, Piper groaned. Oh, finally. I was starting to think I'd have to lock you two in a room. I threw a cushion at her. She laughed. 3 years ago, Piper and I had run away together because we believed we'd been abandoned. We thought our children would grow up without fathers. Instead, our ridiculous escape had somehow brought both men back into our lives. Toby had his father. Penny had hers. And I finally had the one thing I'd secretly wanted all along. A family that chose me. This time, nobody was going to decide where I belonged. I had already chosen my home. And it was mine.